Hello, everyone, and welcome to Petite to Queen's Claim Your Career Crown podcast. I'm your host, Lynn, and today I'm joined by our absolutely wonderful guest, Barbara Schouten. And today we're going to be talking about how to embrace and accept yourself fully and connect to your true, authentic self. What an amazing conversation. I want to tell you about Barbara. She is a transformational coach, a speaker, and an author. She specializes in helping people who feel different than others to be deeply connected with their spiritual self and have a crystal clear vision of the life they truly want to live. Unleash the power that is already within them and reignite their passion and purpose so they can have a soulful, profitable business, achieve their dreams, and live a fulfilled life on their terms now. Barbara has written four books, and she's created 3 online programs. She regularly blogs on LinkedIn and has helped even more people to come out of the closet. Barbara has her own TV show called HSP TV on YouTube, in which she talks about all things HSP, energy, and entrepreneurship related. I want to tell you, she's also a podcast host, and that show is called 100% Yourself with Barbara, on which she discusses everything you need to know to be able to be your 100% yourself, and on which she interviews other inspiring people to share their story about being 100% yourself. And her podcast can be found on most podcast platforms. So just take a search and we're going to put that link down below. Barbara, I am so thrilled to have you here today. We have had an incredible connection, and I am just so honored that you will be talking with our audience today.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Lynn. I love being here. I love talking with you. I love connecting with you. And I'm sure that we will have an amazing conversation that inspires a lot of people that are listening to it.
That is fantastic. And for those of you who are joining us for that very first time, why don't you take that moment right now and subscribe to Claim Your Career Crown wherever you get your podcasts. And if you love what we're doing, please give us that 5-star review. We would very much appreciate it. All right, well, let's get right into this, Barbara, because what you do is just so inspiring and so unique. I would love to hear how you got started.
Well, that is a very long story, so I'll try to keep it as short as possible. But it already started when I was very young. All of my life, my teachers and my parents and the people that were important to me kept telling me, but you're far too sensitive and you really need to grow a thicker skin and don't take everything so personal and you really need to learn how to let go. And in hearing those words, I just create this story that I am not good enough the way I am. And that was further supported by me being bullied at school and also me being bullied at home. So it made me try to be the person I thought everybody else wanted me to be. So I did my best to be the perfect daughter, to be the perfect friend, to be the perfect girlfriend, to be the perfect employee. I tried my best to be everything that I thought other people wanted me to be in order to feel seen, heard, liked, accepted, wanted, you name it, that was my goal. And when we fast forward to when I was 32, that ended me up in a severe burnout because I never really knew what I wanted to be. I never really made a choice that was in alignment with who I really am because I never was who I really am. I was multiple versions of myself, and none of them were the real Barbara. And the real Barbara, I don't think I even know who that was at that point. So when I was 32, I ended up in a severe burnout because I was doing a job that was not feeding my soul. It was not giving me energy. It was high stress, high maintenance. And at the same time, my boyfriend of 7 years unexpectedly ended our relationship. And the combination of those two things, it
Wow.
just broke me down. And all the emotions and all the things about myself that I had been pushing back, that I was not allowing in my life, it all came crashing over me. And I felt like I had failed the world, failed myself. I really thought it was the end of the world as I knew it. At that moment, I thought it was the worst thing to have ever happened to me. But it was right in that period that my boss told me, yeah, but you are an HSP because my wife is an HSP and you're exactly the same. So you must be an HSP. And then he went on with the rest of his talk. And I remember thinking, should I feel offended? Did you call me a name? Should I be upset? Are you disappointed? I didn't know what HSP stood for. I had no
Right.
clue what he was calling me, but it stuck with me. So I decided to Google it when I came back to my workstation. And that's when I discovered HSP stands for highly sensitive person. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I started to Google some more, and the more I read, the more I felt like I was coming home to myself. All of a sudden, a lot of things that didn't make sense to me about myself when I was growing up started making sense. So naturally, I dived in more deeply. I read every book I could find, every forum I could find, all the stories of other people. And that's when I discovered I'm not weird. I'm not strange. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm a highly sensitive person.
Yeah.
And that just means that the world is a little bit different for me than for most other people, but it doesn't mean that it's wrong or bad or undesirable. And that started me off on my journey of self discovery, which eventually led to me becoming a business owner and guiding and helping other people in roughly the same types of situations step into the person they always were but had lost sight of, that they were not allowing in, so that they could start loving themselves for who they really are, feel proud of themselves, and from that point get clear on what it is that they truly want in life. And then I help them to get that.
Yeah, that is amazing. That's amazing. And I just love, your work, and just your approach and, that genuine, authentic, compassionate, caring approach that you take to everything you do, Barbara. So I'd love to have you share with our audience a little bit more about the work that you do and how you do it. And if you do have a process or some kind of blueprint that you follow, what does that look like?
Well, first off, I want to say I don't believe in one size fits all. So that being said, I do have online programs. I've written four at the moment, and those are obviously a little bit one size fits all. But I tailor make them to your specific needs. So what I do when people work with me one on one is I start off with a clarity session where we get clear on where you are now, where you want to be, and what's standing in the way of you getting that or being there, being that person, having the things that you want. And then we create a plan on how to overcome blocks or limiting beliefs or faulty autopilot programs, how to go from a lack mindset to a growth mindset, how to discover your user manual, what makes you you, how you can use your strengths and your weaknesses to your advantage. And then I map out everything that's applicable to you to my online program so that you only do the parts that are valuable to you, and that in our one-on-one sessions we can hit the ground running. We can go in deep. I don't have to share the general information because you've already taken that from the online program and you have access to that 24/7 from the comfort of your own home. So that helps you fit it into your schedule. And then when we meet together, and this could be one on one, but it can also be in group coaching form if that is better fittable into your budget. And then we work on implementing everything that you've learned and customizing your strategy for yourself so that at the end of our time together, whatever form that takes, you will have gotten out of it the exact things that you need. And for everybody, that's different. All the highly sensitive people or empath people or intuitive people that I've worked with, I've had something in common with all of them, but everybody is still unique, and everybody still has their own things. So I don't teach my methods to people. I help you discover your methods, your user manual, your uniqueness, uh, everything that makes you so that you can create what you do best, and not my version of what should work, because we've enough gurus that teach that stuff. And usually for people like me, maybe also like you, Lynn, and definitely for the people I help, what the gurus teach in general, it doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. Because they are trying to stuff you into some kind of cookie mold. Um,
Yes.
and do this, do that. It almost sounds like, I mean, for people here in the States might make this reference, do the hokey pokey. You put your left arm in, you put, it just, whatever thing you have to do. And somehow, you're like this little dancing marionette that they've
You
created.
cannot
But
get your square self into a round
yeah,
hole.
yeah,
It's just
exactly. But
impossible.
it's still, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm really curious, when you were going on this journey, yeah, and I love the transformational piece that, how you got to this, from this breakdown to then the breakthrough, and then where you're at now. And when you were starting your own business and you're starting to help people, were there things that held you back, from being able to visualize, and step into, your own power of who you were and how, what, your unique operating code?
Oh, there were lots of things that were holding me back. I think all the healing modalities, all the things that can get people unstuck, you name it, I've done it. And they all helped to a certain degree. I've done family constellations, which helped me clean up the mother line, the father line, past lives and stuff, things that were blocking me from that. I've done theta healing, which also helped with aligning with your soul and clearing stuff. I've done the emotion code. I'll stop there because there's so many, but you get my drift. I've done a lot of things, and that's what I also hear from people. I've already tried so much and it's not working, and I get it. I've been at that point too, where I thought, it doesn't matter what I'm doing, it's just not working. And from your end goal perspective, that makes sense. But for me, I see myself and everybody I help as a puzzle, and everything I've done is a piece of the puzzle. But you need a lot of pieces before the puzzle is complete. So, all the healing modalities that I've done have helped me overcome stuff. There were lots of limiting beliefs I had to overcome, there were lots of faulty autopilot programs I had to overcome. Loving yourself, seeing yourself as valuable, overcoming your limiting beliefs around money that keep you small. My parents were poor, so I got raised with, if you want something, you need to work hard. And when success is not coming, you need to work harder, because then you're not working hard enough. And I've heard things like money doesn't grow on trees, and you have to turn every nickel 5 times before you spend it, and make sure that you spend it on the right things, stuff like that. And they were all blocking me. And everything I've done has helped me eliminate all, not all of them, but the things that I was working on. But I kept running into a certain block. Every time I get really close to having everything, it tanks. And I never could figure out why. And it was very discouraging. Like I said, I'd done so many things. I worked on myself from here to Tokyo, the moon, and back, and still the same thing kept happening over and over. And that's where my specialty lies at the moment. It turns out I had a very deep subconscious block that I had no conscious recollection of and no way of consciously connecting to. And this specific block um, was created when I was still in utero, so I wasn't even born yet. I was a 3-month old fetus, and I was in utero with my twin. And I never knew I was a twin. And with family constellations, I discovered I was part of a twin. So I healed the twin wound, so to say. But that was still not enough, because when we were 3 months old, something so traumatic happened to our mom that my twin decided to die to give me and my mom a chance at life. And in that moment, I apparently created the belief that I wasn't worth more than my twin. So, what made me have the right to live? What made me the one that was born to continue? And I never knew that. There's no possible way of knowing that. My mom didn't know she had twins when I asked her about it. Then later on, she remembered that there were two heartbeats in the beginning, and then when she had the echo, there was just one fetus, and she never thought about it anymore. So, there was no conscious way to connect to it or to know about it, but it was a huge, huge block in everything I did in my life. And by finding this and eliminating that block, that was just when the floodgates opened and everything just started to flow and make sense. And from that moment, my business just went skyrocketing, and everything I want and everything I do, it comes to fruition. The block is gone. So that's one of the things that I specialize in now, also with helping other people. I can do all the other things, the high level things, everything I've already done, everything that I named. But only a few people go as deep as what I needed to do for myself in order to liberate myself from the thing that was holding me back. Does
Yeah,
that make
yeah.
sense?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, and in your work, I mean, using in this approach, what have you found that holds most people back? Is there a common thing that's really buried so deep that they're not recognizing it?
Oh, most people suffer from I am not good enough. I'm not
Yeah,
worthy. Most people don't love themselves unconditionally on a very deep soul level. That's the most common block for most people. And besides that, there are blocks that have to do with lack and growth mindset, where you're keeping yourself stuck in a situation where you don't want to be because it's familiar.
yeah,
And there's also ego that we have inside of us that's kind of working against us in a lot of these situations, because ego comes from our reptilian brain. It's a very old mechanism, and it used to work brilliantly. It was designed to keep us safe. That's the job of ego, to keep us safe. And many people who are hearing that think, well, my ego does a lot of different things. And I know it looks that way. It looks that way, I know. But it's because whenever we want to change something, whenever we want to grow as a person, even when you want to go to the gym to work out more, to become more healthy, when you want to start meditating every day because it connects you to your soul, even the things that are good for you, it means change. It's outside of what is familiar, what people call your comfort zone. And everything that's not familiar, that's unfamiliar, has the potential of being dangerous. And it's ego's job to keep you safe. So whenever we try to change, whenever we try to do something, ego stops us, no
yeah.
matter how good our intentions or how good it is for us, because it's potentially dangerous. And it's my job to keep you safe, damn it. So listen to me. And it starts projecting doubts
Yeah.
and worries, anxieties, fears, forgetfulness, procrastination. These are all tools of ego to stop you from changing, so that you stay with the familiar, and it has done its job to keep you safe. And when it was very effective, we were living like cave people. And then ego made sure that you were not sleeping with the lions because they were warm and fuzzy, because you would be their dinner. or that you would not drink at every water well because some water wells had crocodiles or maybe a bacteria in it that would make you sick or something. So it has a very useful function, but nowadays lions are only in the zoo, and all the berries in the supermarket you can eat without becoming sick, and the water that comes from your faucet you can drink it. So the initial task of ego is no longer there, so now ego tries to protect you in the mental plane, and that's whenever you want to try and come out of your comfort zone, work on yourself, exercise more, then it comes into action. And there are ways of circumventing ego or taking ego along on your journey, and you need to learn how to work with ego if you actually want to get to the point of change, of getting where you want to be. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I love this. I love this whole conversation. And that is so true, because it comes up in so many, it manifests itself in so many ways when you are, pushing against your boundaries, stepping out of that comfort zone. And sometimes like in other areas of your life, you can be making some breakthroughs, but it's holding you back in others because it's like, okay, well, you're pushing forward here. I'll let you do that, but not here. I'm going to I'm going to reinforce different types of thinking. Um, to, yeah, that is such an fascinating. We could talk about that all day, but I'm really intrigued with all the work that you do, Barbara. For our audience, and they're tuning in, I'm sure that they're just wow, the conversation, but what's something that they could do right now? What's something that they could do either today or this week to get them just either expand their mindset one little bit to start looking at things a little differently to let more in, or what's something I just want to, what would you recommend?
Well, the thing you need to start working on is connecting with your true self. And there are two ways that do that the quickest, that I always teach everybody that comes into contact with me. And the exact things, you hit me up and I'll tell you. But in short, one of them is focusing on your breath and breathing in the right way. What I've seen is that most people, they breathe up here. And that is chest breathing, and that is also where all things emotional happen. We get a lump in our throat, we get watery eyes, we get stiff neck and shoulders. So when your breath is already up here, it's very easy to overflow in emotion, to lose control, so to say. So when you actively start practicing breathing from your belly, you actively connect to your core. Your power center is just below your navel, and that actually helps you to be able to talk with your body, to recognize the signals that it's sending you, because that's what the first step, feeling the signals. We are so used to having a migraine or a headache, take an aspirin and continue. Stiff neck and shoulders, maybe do a massage or just ignore it and continue. um, Stuff like that. But those are warning signs. They are signs that your body gives you that tells you there's something not completely okay.
Yeah.
And instead of listening to it and then exploring what could not be okay and how can we change that, we take a pill or we just ignore it and we go on. And so connecting with yourself through your breath, that's the first thing to do. The second thing that you can already do by yourself is making sure that you're grounded. And I always like to explain that one with the analogy of the tree. So let's say you're looking at a very big, very old tree. It's like you need to put your arms around it like this, and that's how you can hold it. So you can imagine very, very big old tree. What would happen to that tree if it didn't have any roots to keep it anchored in the ground and a really big storm hits? What do you think would happen?
Fall over.
It would fall over, right?
Yeah.
That's what happens when we are not grounded. And the storms are then situations in life, whatever situation, a small one, a big one, it's a small storm, big storm. When you're not grounded, it floors you very easily. Grounding is actively searching for a connection to Mother Earth and anchoring yourself energy wise into the earth so that when a storm hits and you're that big old tree and you have all these amazing, beautiful roots that anchor you to the ground, what does that tree do? It just hangs in the wind until the storm is over, and then it rights itself and nothing happened. It's still standing and it can continue living. That's what good grounding does for people.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's like I love this story and what you're explaining because it ties into resilience and that being able to in the sense of the tree, right itself, shake itself, it'll have a few branches or limbs broken and some leaves, et cetera, gone, but it's going to be able to then flourish, right? So, absolutely. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Barbara. And thank you for sharing how to embrace and accept yourself fully and connect to your true, authentic self. I know our listeners are going to want, after listening to this, they're going to want to know more about you and where they can find out more about you.
Oh, I welcome everybody that's listening to this and that wants to just connect or talk. I offer everybody a free virtual coffee chat or tea if you're not a coffee drinker. I won't discriminate. Tea is also fine. So just to have a heart-to-heart conversation and see where you are and where you want to be, and if I might be the person to help you or somebody else. I also send you to other people if I think that they are a better fit for you. I'm like that because my priority is that you get helped. So you can find me on most social medias under HSP Coach Barbara, and then Barbara with an E, Barbera. Or my website is also hspcoachbarbara.com, where you can also book this coffee chat with me, or you can discover more about me, like Lynn already said in the beginning, by visiting my YouTube channel, also HSP Coach Barbara, or finding my podcast, which allows you to see more of me, hear more of me, and see if you feel like we resonate together energy wise.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll have all those links right down below so that Barbara is one click away. And Barbara, thank you so much. This has been such an incredible discussion and conversation. And for those of you tuned in, thank you for listening. We so appreciate you. And if you have ideas or thoughts that you'd like to share, you can leave us a comment down below. And of course, if you would like to suggest a topic for discussion or have a specific question, you can email us at jointheconversation@petitetoqueen.com. And to stay current on all of our insightful advice, our breakthrough advantages, and incredible episodes like the one today with Barbara, you can sign up for our weekly Wisdoms newsletter at petitetoqueen.com, and you won't miss a single thing. And I want to thank everyone again for tuning in. We love you. Thank you so much. And Barbara, oh, thank you so much. My heart is just overflowing with gratitude and everything that I picked up today. It's just been so powerful.
Oh, thank you so much. I really love that you gave me a platform to share my message. I think a lot of people need to hear it, especially with the changing times with the pandemic and the aftermath of the pandemic and all the other things that are going on. So thank you so much for inviting me and for giving me this stage to share my talk on. Thank you.